What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and I'm going to let you guys know what it is that I plan to play. I'm going to be going with something different. I'm going to be going with what seems to probably be one of the popular picks for this league, which is the explosive arrow running with the ballista totems. I got a lot of reasons for picking this. The first one is it got buffed and it was already in a strong place, and then it got some significant buffs to it through just like several different reasons. There's the actual buffs to it, which it went from 3% more damage up to a 5% more damage, and then it got instead of it just being 5% more damage on hits, it's 5% more damage to hits and ailments, which that's a huge one. Um, so those are buffs, and then they also buffed, they're buffing just in general bow related stuff, which it is a bow skill. So that's going to buff it up. We won't get all of the buffs from that because a large part of the buffs are going to be for the physical conversions or physical type bows. Um, but some of the stuff is definitely gonna help it because they scaled up the number damage and stuff like that on bows and quivers. Attack speed, they added some new quivers to give you more options of stuff to do. So a lot of buffs basically coming in on this build. The other reason is just the setup that the this league is gonna be. Honestly, in pretty much any other league, I would have never played something like this. The reason why is because I just strongly favor um, builds that are just going to speed crush maps like crazy. And obviously, a secondary cast, like you're casting a ballista and then it attacks, and it's kind of like a build up skill. You know, it's got a fuse on it, and that takes time for it to detonate and all of this stuff. So it normally would not be something that I'd play, but this league is very different from a lot of the leagues that we've played before. I'd say probably the closest league to this would be like Metamorph League, which was a while ago, which is basically the league was based around killing bosses. Bows were in a lot better place at that time. I'd say this last league was probably the worst that mapping characters had been as far as fighting bosses, just because they downscaled gems so much and they killed a lot of the really strong boss killer type builds we had before. Just a bunch of bow skills that were doing you know 50 plus million DPS, and they really cut that back. This league, they cut it back even more. They killed off one of the workarounds, which was the Hydrosphere. That was really nice. It also killed the other build that I started this last league, which was the Frostblade. The Frostblade was really smooth last league because Frostblades just clears really well. And then on top of that, having the Hydrosphere, it gave it some just insane single target DPS because it was hitting the boss and then also reflecting off of the Hydrosphere. So that kind of was a massive, massive nerf to that build. And just because of that large nerf, and then also the being a melee character, the whole point of that build was basically to just explode the bosses before they really get a chance to kill you. And when you cut the damage down that much, that's going to make it a lot more difficult. So I kind of wrote that off. But this build, the damage numbers just look really crazy on it, even super specking a lot of points into defensive stuff. So I think that this is probably going to be one of the better build choices. It's the one that appealed the most to me. And then going through messing around with POB and stuff like that, and then also how many options there are going to be to gear this character, and there's not really anything that it's super stuck behind as far as like you don't have to have there's no chase uniques or anything like that, super rare items that you're going to have in order to play it. I think it's going to be a really good build. The full set of gear is going to basically be craftable. The other reason why I'm choosing it is because it's going to be a really popular build, and with all the changes to crafting, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want help with crafting. So it will give me a chance to make a lot of relevant content. So those are all of my reasons for picking it. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be really good at bossing. I think it's going to be pretty good at mapping. Of all of the choices, as far as like something that's going to be able to boss and still is going to be able to map well, to me it seems like the best choice. Um, I don't know every single build possibility out there, but from the ones that I've looked at, this looks like the best build for a league start this league. Toxic Rain was strong, but it's taken some nerfs, and it's really not a build that I enjoy playing that much. I think that this build is going to be tankier and smoother clears. So I this is I'm pretty happy with this choice of a build. I will kind of show you guys what it is, guys, gals, what it is that I've gone through and done. Kind of what I've done. This is set up for a 97, but I've got some points just kind of filled in because I was just messing around with it. But we'll go over what it is. But we can go ahead and look at the defensive stats on this, which is pretty crazy. I don't even have all of the gear on this character. I threw some stuff on it and I mostly just threw just like cheap uniques on it. And the only non-cheap unique, I think Hyra's Ire is going to be expensive, so I probably won't wind up getting one because I'll probably for the cost of it, I'll probably be able to make something better. It is really strong because of the spell suppression, and the number cold damage and the really big evasion. So I think it is a really good choice for this build. Pretty much everything on here besides that, I would say probably isn't something that is going to be like an endgame type of gear. But what I wanted to do is just put some basically like crap on it and just see what kind of numbers I got with kind of like a filled out tree just to see. And I don't have flasks either, um, so I didn't want to craft flasks. But the whole point was I wanted to get some stuff on there and I wanted to see what it looks like. Like obviously my evasion is going to be a lot lower than it would be because I'll be using an evasion flask and 141% increase to that. So that would be like another 12, 6,000, 7,200 evasion rating. So that's really huge. Um, but so with this setup, just with some crap on here, this is the only thing that has decent stats on it. It's got um, a 12% increased attack speed. I put that on there because that's what you can craft, which that's kind of like the top damage stat for it, or functionality stat for it. So I put that on there. This is the only decent item that I actually crafted and put on there. It's tier 2 elemental, tier 3 life, tier 1 damage over time. Um, but all the other stuff, I mean, commander bow. I've got a blizzard crown on here, but it's got 2 stats on it. A couple stats, nothing good on here, just the attack speed. And then I just put on these legion boots. They do hardly nothing. It's like 5% increased damage. I put on the Zoph's heart. You can't use the upgraded version. It'll actually make your damage go down because it adds. So that's not something that you're gonna actually really want, um, because it adds Avatar Fire. So you're not gonna want to use Zoph's blood. You could use a Zoph's heart if it's cheap. It's pretty good damage increase because it gives you the covers in ash. If you can deal with the loss to stats, because the stats on that really aren't that great. But it wouldn't be a bad option, honestly. Um, you just have to make sure that you don't do Zoph's blood because, like I said, it's got the Avatar of Fire, and that's gonna mess up your debuffing because basically you are using the hit to apply only lightning and cold damage, and then that works with the elemental equilibrium. So when it explodes, they have that negative 25% to elemental resistances. So that's something really important. why you can't use Zoph's blood. Zoph's heart is going to be a good choice. It would actually be a good choice early if it's really cheap, or if one just drops for you, just don't upgrade it. But once you get into later, you're probably going to want to go for a crafted amulet plus skill level. Something like that is going to be a good choice. That'll be more endgame gear. I put one ring on here. We'll probably wind up with just two crafted rings. The taming's just kind of like a good choice, just to fill in some resistances, and it'll give you a lot of increased elemental damage. So if those aren't unreasonably priced, that would be another good choice. So this more, I guess, than this. The only downside is this isn't going to have life on it. Um, but anyways, with just some very mediocre stuff, you get pretty high DPS numbers. Um, so the total burn damage for the 20 fusings, 20 million, with ignite DPS of 6.3 million. That's pretty much going to carry you through a lot of the stuff pretty easily. Once you start getting like crafted items on there and decent gear, it's gonna be just smashing stuff. Um, so kind of with like crap gear and basically the tree worked out, you're gonna be moving through it pretty easily. But what makes this look really nice is when we look at our defensive stats, the way this is set up, we've got 25,643 evasion, 75% evade chance, and we've got 23,218 armor, which is 79% physical damage reduction, and a 91% spell suppression chance. So this is basically like a tank. It's got really good. I mean, obviously we'd need to work out the resistances way over on fire, and but it's not actual gear. But the point is it's going to be really tanky. So it's going to be able to take hits, and it's going to be able to still do a ton of damage while being so tanky. And obviously, like I said, we're going to add in more defensive flasks and stuff like that. So that's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really, really strong. I think it's going to be really easy to level up. We've got some extra block and spell block chance in there. Um, so I'm really liking it. I think it's going to be a really good. I think it's going to be a really good, smooth, easy build to play. I think it's going to be able to to get you through Atlas completion. Uh, I'll probably focus it just straight up towards bossing once I get completed with my atlas, and then I'll probably create just a straight up mapper. An actual build guide on this is gonna I'll create one shortly after the league starts. I'll do an early game guide for this. The reason why I can't release a guide for it right now is because they still haven't released the updated tree. It's 12 hours till the release, and they haven't released it, so yeah, I can't do anything about that. um, I can show you kind of what it is that I'm doing and the major keystones that you're going to want, because I think all the major keystones and stuff like that are still going to be there. There might be some changes, and I know some of the stuff might get buffed or nerfed a little bit. I think that in the patch notes it said that some of the archery stuff was going to get buffed. So hopefully it's the stuff that affects our stuff. So hopefully it's a positive thing. I've also got, just basically fire stuff. A lot of life increase. One thing that I was going to point out, Higher Zyre is probably going to be expensive. I think a lot of people are going to go for it. One other thing you could do if you want to just add some more tankiness on here is go for the Combs Heart. So if we go Combs Heart, it drops our evasion down, but once again, we'd have about a comparable evasion to what we had before, which would be, about a little over 21,000. It'd be like 21,500 with the evasion flask that adds the 3,000 evasion. So that would put us to where we're back at 75% evasion chance, and then this would buff up our armor even more, and it would give us a lot more HP. And I think it gives, in the way the build's set up, 1175 HP, and it's got the 20 or 30 to 50% or 20 to 40% fire damage. So it gives something else there. If Combs Hearts aren't that expensive, that might be a good thing to go for. We have enough points, we have enough gear slots that you can make it work. Since we're going to be just using single skill, it'll make it so that it could actually work. So you could just do that, and it would be really tanky. And if they're really cheap, you could try to get something cool, as far as like a corrupted one or something like that, depending on how cheap they are. I mean, maybe after making this video now, I'm not gonna be able to get one cheap, but we'll see. Just another thing to keep your eye out for. I've got some of the skills set up to get it like this, and we're able to get this reservation. So it works with all of these skills. Unreserved 38, which is below the casting cost of the defensive skill and the ballista. So that'll work. Obviously, like earlier on, you're probably going to. I think my precision's actually. Oh, precision's at 20, so we actually could have way more mana than that. So we'd probably level this down and do like, I don't know, like somewhere in like 8 to 10 or something like that. Let's see where the, oh no, the hit chance is too low. So we need more accuracy somewhere in the build. But basically it's going to work with all these auras. You might have to mess around with the precision and stuff like that, but it's workable. It's basically, we're going to be using Defiance Banner, Determination, Grace, basically all defensive auras. You could go more offensive. You could do an offensive aura. You could invest more into the the reduced mana reservation, um, but this is kind of what I'm thinking is going to be what I like. We can go with flammability. These are our choices for our single curse. You'll probably want to do multiple curses on this. The extra curse is just going to be pretty huge. For flammability, flammability is going to be the best, just flat damage increase. We can see this damage right here. Um, it raises up the damage the most. As far as continual damage and kind of another layer of defenses, you could go with the temporal chains, which is really nice. You'll see how much it increases our damage per ignite. Takes it from 14 million to 23.5 million per ignite. So that's really nice, and it makes it so that you build up that big explosion on something, and then it's going to take that damage for a long period of time, and it also is going to make it so that they have less action speed, so it's going to make it easier for you to stay alive. It's basically an offensive and defensive choice for a curse, so that's going to be really good. You could go for double curse or triple curse. Obviously, we can get the extra curse on the chest. You have some options to get an extra curse on your boots. You can also do the Whispers of Doom on your neck. You could actually go for 4 curses. If you're to do that, it'd probably be Temp, Chains, Despair, Flammability. Um, Despair is pretty good on here. I think let me see which ones. 17. I think they're like really close. Okay, so Flammability is barely better than Despair. Um, but you could go triple curse. That would be a really good way to increase your damage. Probably some of the best damage choices you could get right there. And like I said, that's also going to reduce their action speed, so that's going to be really strong if you go with the temp chains also. And like I said, we have a lot of options to add extra curses with like viable items. The extra curse item for boots is normally like super cheap. Um, but it's kind of going to be a weak slot. But a weak slot, if you can fit it in, you don't need the stats there. I mean, that's really good damage. You're talking about 20 something percent increased damage on either the despair or the flammability. You could do flammability on a ring. You can do despair on a ring, um, and then you could manual cast, or actually you can get temp chains on gloves. You can also do a manual cast. Your fourth choice, if you do go with all 4 slots for the curses, this is like talking about like ideas that you can think about for as you're progressing. You might get way ahead of me or something. Um, if you were to go neck anointment, chest +1 curse, boots +1 curse, you'd have 4 curses. You could use these 3 curses, and you could also use a mark. There's the new mark cast. Um, the new mark cast uh, support gem. So that could be a choice. You could also do something like you could use the helm that casts. You could use the Mahoney's quiver. There's a lot of choices that you could go with that to go crazy with the curses. That would be some good ways to just kick the damage up to the next level. But for starting out, I would just go with the flammability. Either manual cast or go with it through the manual caster through a curse on hit. Obviously, early you could use a mark, or you could use the flammability as manual casting just on bosses until you're able to get gear that does it for you, or get your links and setups. So those are some things to keep in mind. The molten shell is what we're going to be using for our defensive skill. The reason why we're going to use it for our defensive skill is, for instance, like with the way this build set up, 26,000 armor, that's going to wind up blocking 55,000 or 4,000, 5,000, 5,200, 5,200, 5,200 damage. We'll be taking 5,200 damage out of damage I'm taking off of the regular the regular yeah, the regular one will be taking 5200 out. The molten shell will be taking um will be reducing 30% of maximum of 30,000, and we'd get 30% of that, 6,000, 7,500, almost 8,000 on that. So that's just way more than what we'd be getting by using a different defensive skill. So it's going to be superior since we are stacking armor with better gear, might even wind up with even more armor. So you could go, say you're going to use the new influences for your helm. You could go with a strength dex base, and you could stack a ton more armor and dexterity there. Same thing with gloves. You could go dex armor or armor gloves, and use the new influences on that to build your gloves, and then you could wind up with a ton more armor there, because since those 2 extra points are going to be on top, and then you're still going to have your 6 stats, you're basically going to want HP as one of your prefixes, and then you could take 2 more defensive stats, like armor plus armor percent. You could wind up stacking. You could wind up stacking the armor a lot higher if you wanted to. If you needed more defenses there, that would be a choice that you could do. Um, so that's pretty much the defenses. We have some more stuff that we can fill in. I really only put in just the auras to a point where the mana is still going to work smoothly. Just basically the 4 auras, the curse, and then the explosive arrow setup. Stuff's going to get changed out a little bit just based on whatever's working the most. We don't need, um, because of my ascendancy choice, I don't need chance to ignite, because this is how I'm going to set up my my ascendancy. Do these. This is going to be good. Give us mana regeneration, and lots of damage. Then we're also going to have your hits always ignite, so 100% ignite chance. We don't have to worry about igniting. 25% more damage with ignites we inflict with hits, for which fire damage is the highest. When it explodes, it's going to be doing just the fire damage, so that's going to be, or that is going to be the highest um, damage. So that's going to be good. That'll make sure that we get um, maximum ignites there, extra damage. The Shaper of the Storm is going to be good. It's going to give us just that guaranteed for 15% increased damage taken. That's good. So we like that. Um, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we do have other options in here. You could wind up going for you could wind up going for the Aegis to make you even more defensive. I don't think you're going to need it. I mean, we're going to see we're going to see what these bosses are like, but I think that I think this build's really beefy. It's going to be suppressing spells. Well, as long as you get your resistances set up, you're going to have massive molten shell, high HP. Once I put all the gear on, I've got HP on all the gear. You know, if I do the combs way, I'll probably have between 6,000 to 7,000 HP. That's just absolutely huge. Which I don't think it will need that much. I'll probably focus more on scaling up damage just so I can kill stuff faster. But I think it's going to be really smooth. I'm interested to see how much fun it'll be to play. I haven't really been into the ballistas, or I haven't really played with the ballistas since they came out, and they're more of a secondary damage for boss fighting. When I was playing that, it was kind of like when they tried to transition and give people extra options apart from Mirage Archers, but then Mirage Archers just wound up coming back to being the best again. So it'll be fun to play something new in a different type of league setup. I'm excited to play it. Um, if you guys wind up needing help with the build setup, you can always watch what I'm doing on my build. My account's BigPowner1. It's always set to open, so you guys can look it up. It's just BigPowner and then the number one. So you guys can watch it if you can't wait to see the video and you want to see what I'm doing. Feel free to do that. I'm not gonna attach this because this is the old skill tree, but it's the only thing that I had to work with. But we can go over just the stuff I definitely pay attention to. We got the damage over time multiplier, and then we get a really good skill effect duration um, and increased duration of ailments right here. Up here, the important things to go for are these damage over time multipliers, and then we get a really nice notable here, the 20% fire damage over time. We do get the negative 30% fire resistance, but as you can see, I'm overcapped on fire resistance. Um, this one over here is really good. We get fire resistance and fire over time multiplier. Extra summon totem. We don't need to be able to deal damage ourselves, but it's something you need to keep in mind because we're going to be just casting totems, so we're not dealing direct damage. So we definitely are going to want this unless you wind up doing something where you have to deal damage in a different way. Um, but I have no plan to do that. I don't see any reason why I would. We get another one set of totem stuff right next to it. This is just 2 points for good HP, some chaos resistance. You could wind up filling these out to get more, but I these are only 4%, or oh no, they're 5%. Okay, they're 5%, so you could fill out those two. Um, Here we want to go this way because we want this increased mana reserve efficiency, and this big reserve efficiency here is good. This 15% increased mana reserve efficiency as the notable. Those are definitely things you're going to want to take. Elemental overload, the 40% more elemental damage. We got pick up a few jewel slots. We got one there. You come down here just to run through these life spots. We've got more 5% life, so you could wind up specking into if you, for whatever reason, wanted to get tankier. You've got 20% life here. You got another 10% life here. You could wind up specking into if the tree still looks like this. um, this is strong because attack speed for our totems. Obviously, the totems get nerfed attack speed for being totems, but you wind up being able to summon like I think this build can summon 7 of them, so it's like 50% less attack speed, and then 50% less attack speed, 24% less damage, 50% less attack speed. So it's like half the attack speed and 24% less damage. So like 75% of 50% is 5, 7, 35, 37.5%, but then times 7. So like 20, it's like 2.5 times the damage or something like that, right? I don't know, something like that. 4 times 7, 20. Yeah, all right. So about between like 2.5 to like 2.65. Anyways, that's pretty close. Um, so we want to pick up this. Dexterity provides no inherent bonuses to evasion rating, 1% chance to suppress spell damage per 15 dexterity. So this is really important for us to get our spell suppression up really high. We don't really need we're not going to need the dexterity to be giving us the bonuses because we pick up dual um, armor and evasion bonuses. That's how our evasion is so high. Like even with me using a no evasion chest, I've still got 14,000. And like I said, that adding the evasion flask, that 3,000 is going to turn into 7,000 after the multiplier because it's 141% increase from the tree. So that's going to wind up giving me capped evasion chance. So there's no point in having anything higher than that. Um, so absolutely you're going to want to take this. It's what's going to help us get our spell suppression high, which is going to be important to making us just this um, super tanky character. You're going to need more. If you do wind up going combs, you can see without the chest, I'm down to 51%, 58% spell suppression. So you're going to have to pick up some spell suppression on gear. But having that's going to take a big chunk out of it for you. We got flat evasion rating here, 10% spell suppression, 30% rating. You're definitely going to want to get these. I don't think there's any more spell suppression besides the little bits. Um, so, I mean, you could wind up, if you need, 3% more spell suppression, there's those there, but really, I think your points are going to be better strung out. You have a couple points you can drop off here. This is just 12% life. Early on, you could, skip that. We need to get down here for this, though. This gives us +1 to the maximum number of ballistas, and it gives us movement speed per summon ballista. So that's pretty important. We need to get that. And then we got more life here. Obviously, 1 point to go down when you're traveling this way to get that 10%. That's obviously a must take. We put 2 points, or I'm planning on putting 2 points into life mastery, one into the 50 maximum life, and then one into the 10% max life with the 50% flat, and then one into the 10% max life. Come through here, we've got another. This one's something you really got to go for because it's 8% life and it gives us 24% evasion and 24% armor. So it's like buffing both of them. So that's pretty important. We also get attack speed, and when we ignore all movement penalties from armor. So that's really important. You want to pick this stuff up here. This is going to help us just with some good damage right here. Movement speed while phasing, 20% chance to gain phasing while after a kill. That's going to help us not get caught up in packs and stuff like that. 20% chance, 1 out of 5 are going to be giving you phasing, and then you're going to get increased movement speed. That's going to be really good. Down here, you could go 2 ways. You could either just put 2 points in to get the 6 and the 10 with the regen, which it's going to be nice to have that big regen right there. Or you could go this way and just put 2 points to get those two. I would go this way. just because it's 6% nodes, which are going to be better than the other nodes. Those are like the highest ones you can get besides major notables. But if you need 4% more elemental resistance and 12% evasion armor, you could go there. But this one here is definitely big. It's 24% to both and 12% resistance, so I definitely suggest that. Down here, you're going to want to go this way. You don't want to go this way. I mean, the 15% life, definitely not as good as 10% increased damage and 4% attack speed. The attack speed and damage buffs are going to be really good, but you're going to want to hit all the notables. This notable is really good. We do get totem resistance and life, but we get 150 armor for each summoned totem. So if we've got 7 totems, that's over 1,000 armor we're going to wind up picking up when we have them summoned. We get another summon ballista, so that will be our third, um, third, third, third one, or maybe we only have 6. Well, we have 6. Yeah, we got six totems. Okay, 6 totems. Um, So we get 6 totems. This will be the 6th one that we pick up. It's really good. Um, this, I mean, the placement range will be nice. You could also do 5% of damage taken. That'd be reducing the damage you take by 5%, diverting it to your totems. You could go for this. This would probably be nice. Skills that summon a totem have 30% chance to summon 2 instead. That's just basically like you have a chance to double cast. So basically for keeping totems up, that might be nice. But the placement range is going to make it so you can pop it further away from you to get it into range. To get it into range of stuff, 50% is pretty big. Um, so that's kind of what I've got tagged up right now. That's pretty much my tree and all the stuff that I see it's important. There's some other good stuff that you could pick up. You could change it around. It doesn't give us very many jewel spots. The rain of splinters is the one thing that I'm probably gonna get two additional projectiles. That's gonna be something I'm gonna want to pick up. Those are normally pretty common. Hopefully they don't get too expensive. And then I got one extra. We've got some space right here next to a large jewel cluster. Eventually, like getting into later game, I'm sure min-maxing is gonna wind up making it so that clusters are probably gonna wind up making it their way into the build. Um, but I think just the way that it's set up is just really good. Um, but the skeleton's really good. We get a lot of really nice pickups, like right here, 10% life and 6%, 10% max life, and I guess there's another 6% there. So if you were to drop something somewhere, that would probably be a good place to pick up 6% life instead of one of the 5s. So I don't think any of these 5s are worth picking up because we have extra spots to pick up a 6. So I guess that's I guess that's definitely where you'd want to go. Anyways, this is pretty much what I've got to set up. I'm gonna do the league start, and then early next week I'll get out a guide on tips and what it is that I'm doing with the build, and let you guys know if there's any problems I've ran into, how I've solved them. Um, anyways, hope everyone has a good league start, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Peace.